I think the stock has tripled. I think over the last 6 months, and all the benchmarking that I look at compared with other gold stocks at similar sort of stages tells me it should triple over the next 6 months. But the market is the market, certainly not under management's control.
Hello, you're watching Proactive. I'm joined by KEFI Gold and Copper Executive Chairman Harry Adams. Harry, very good to speak with you all the way from Indaba in Cape Town. With this latest $20 million investment by Chancery Royalty, you've now effectively closed the full $340 million in financing. What's fundamentally changed for KEFI today?
Well, to be honest, it's going according to plan. So to my mind, nothing's fundamentally changed, but it's all being, I suppose, publicly presentable and confirmable. But we had our bank approvals in October, which is 70% of the capital for the development. And we did say at the time quite clearly that allowed us to then optimize the equity pieces. And we've been just working through that and doing what we foreshadowed. So to me, it's just confirmatory that it's all on. Nothing's changed.
Harry, you've structured this latest $20 million financing with equity ranking royalties rather than traditional dilution or more debt. In plain terms, why is this good for shareholders?
Basically, we've taken a $400 million project for a company that was capped at $50 million perhaps 6 months ago, and we financed it by doing it in a project finance manner and at subsidiary level, almost entirely. And how have we done that? We've done that with arrangements with mining contractors that reduced it to 340 without issuing equity for that. So that was a very successful maneuver, if you like. Of the 340, we brought in major development banks for 240. So I think that's self-evident that that's a sensible thing to do, minimizing ownership dilution also. On the balance, we've effectively done it in other ways to find the right balance between one form of dilution for another. Obviously, you can't get money for free. You have to, give something away. But the royalty itself is quite carefully structured so that it's not off the top. A conventional royalty gets paid before operating expenses get paid and banks get repaid and taxes get paid and so on and so forth. This has been deliberately positioned so that it only gets paid when dividends can get paid. So it's positioning the royalty, and we call it an equity ranking royalty, because it doesn't get its return unless shareholders get a return. So it doesn't introduce financial leverage at the top by taking it off the top, if you like, and it's respectful of other equity risk providers, capital providers, by only getting paid when dividends can get paid. So that's a bit creative, but I think that I think should summarize, if you like, why it's we consider to be in shareholders' interests.
Harry, you're talking about annual EBITDA of up to $680 million at current gold prices, yet KEFI's market cap is a fraction of that. Why hasn't the market caught up?
Oh, well, I think it's only a matter of time, I personally like the old saying that the stock market is a device for the transfer of wealth from the impatient to the patient. And as to when the stock market adjusts itself, it's completely out of our control. We just do our best, to manage the project for the long-term interest of all stakeholders and report it as transparently as possible. And I have no doubt the stock market will adjust itself, in due course. And I think the stock has tripled, I think, over the last 6 months. And all the benchmarking that I look at compared with, other gold stocks at similar sort of stages tells me it should triple over the next 6 months. But, the market is the market, certainly not under management's control.
Harry, as I mentioned, you're down in Cape Town at the mining Indaba this week. Tell us about some of the conversations you're having down there.
Well, we've got most of our large capital providers and contractors here, so there's lots of working sessions. Literally this morning, we were at the offices of the construction contractor with the Minister of Mines and his staff, and the mining contractor, his team. Setting it all out through Lycopodium's eyes as to schedule and mobilisation, and so that everyone's on the same page. There's been quite a flurry of activity over the course of this month so far, and it'll continue because we've pressed the button. We're launching fully. And there's mobilisation taking place, and therefore there's a scurrying going on at the site. There's scurrying going on in Toronto, in Cape Town, in Ghana, where all these contractors, personnel are based. So everyone's, mobilising, and the insurers are here. So working meetings, really, turning this thing into reality of action and running. No more planning and talking and permitting and negotiation, but actually getting on with it, which is fantastic. It's exciting, and it's getting a big. All the teams are getting a big shake up because it's sort of on. It's game on, and everyone has to start running hard.
Congratulations on this latest milestone, Harry. I hope you'll continue to keep us updated with your progress.
Okay, thank you for taking interest. Thank you.
It's Harry Adams, Executive Chairman of KEFI Gold and Copper.